Listen carefully. There is a truth older than any government, older than any corporation, older than the stories they tell us about who we are supposed to be. One finger is weak. 5 fingers make a fist. And we are in this together. Not in the soft, sentimental way the phrase is usually sold. Not as a slogan for a fundraiser or a hashtag that disappears by morning. We are in this together in the hard, structural sense. The forces arrayed against the general population do not distinguish between us the way we have been taught to distinguish between ourselves. They see a mass. And the mass, when it remains a collection of isolated fingers, stays weak. Society does not keep us down with a single visible chain. It deploys every insidious tactic available. It fragments attention so that sustained thought becomes rare. It amplifies differences until solidarity feels naive. It floods the senses with products and statuses until the quiet question of what we actually need is drowned out. It rewards the short-term, the convenient, the individually advantageous, while the long-term collective cost is left for later generations to pay. These tactics are not random. They are efficient. They work precisely because they do not require most people to consent in any conscious way. They only require that most people remain separate, tired, and slightly ashamed of wanting more. The tactics are layered. Economic pressure that keeps people one missed paycheck from desperation, cultural narratives that celebrate hyper-individualism while punishing genuine cooperation, algorithmic feeds that reward outrage and punish nuance, and a constant background hum of manufactured scarcity that makes sharing feel like loss. All of it is designed to keep the general population looking sideways at each other instead of upward at the structure that profits from their division. Yet here is the first and most extraordinary fact about the human being. No matter what your current circumstances are, if you can imagine something better for yourself, you can create it. That capacity is not a motivational poster. It is a biological and psychological reality. The mind that can form an image of a different life already contains the seed of the actions required to move toward it. Neuroscience shows that the same neural networks involved in visualizing a future outcome are recruited when we plan and execute the steps toward it. Philosophy has long recognized this as the distinctive power of human consciousness. The ability to project beyond the given and then reshape the given in the light of that projection. But the seed does not grow by wishing. It grows by vision held long enough to become intention, by intention converted into daily work, and by dedication that outlasts the first wave of resistance. The capacity is extraordinary. The price of activating it is ordinary, relentless effort. Vision without work is daydreaming. Work without vision is drudgery. Only the marriage of the two produces transformation. Most people stop at the imagining. They taste the possibility and then retreat into the familiar pain of the present because the familiar pain at least does not demand new muscles. Psychology has a name for this, the status quo bias, the tendency to prefer the known discomfort over the unknown effort. It is reinforced by loss aversion, the finding that losses loom larger than equivalent gains. So the potential pain of failing at something new feels heavier than the ongoing ache of staying where you are. Philosophy has a longer name, the refusal to exercise the freedom that already exists. You are free to choose, but you are not free from the consequences of those choices. Every day you remain in a situation where you feel out of place, you are choosing the slow erosion of your own potential. Growth and change are difficult. Remaining where you do not belong is one of the most painful things a conscious being can experience. The difference is that one pain is the pain of expansion and the other is the pain of slow self-betrayal. The body knows the difference even when the mind tries to rationalize. Chronic low-grade stress, the sense of quiet wrongness, the fatigue that sleep does not fix. These are signals that the current arrangement is costing more than it is giving. Time is the only non-renewable resource that is distributed equally at the beginning of each day. 24 hours. No more. The stakes are simply too high to spend them on the insignificant. Insignificant does not mean small. Insignificant means anything that does not move you closer to the life you have imagined or closer to the collective strength that makes individual progress sustainable. Corporations and businesses understand this. They organize, they coordinate, they align incentives. They act collectively even when the outcome of that collective action is to the detriment of the general population. They do not apologize for it. They simply do it. They hire strategists to map attention. They fund research into habit formation. They build systems that turn individual desires into predictable revenue streams. The general population, by contrast, has been trained to treat organization as something that happens to other people. We celebrate the lone genius and overlook the networks that make sustained impact possible. We are told that asking for help is weakness and that coordination smells like conspiracy. Meanwhile, the entities that extract value from us operate with military precision and long-time horizons. What we lack is not the desire for better individual circumstances. That desire is universal. What we lack is the practiced ability to work together efficiently and organized enough to make those individual improvements easier rather than harder. When 5 fingers close into a fist, the force is not 5 times 1 finger. It is qualitatively different. The same is true of people who stop competing for scraps and start coordinating for leverage. Coordination does not require uniformity of opinion. It requires clarity of shared interest and the discipline to protect that interest against the tactics designed to fracture it. It requires the willingness to build small, reliable structures, mutual aid that actually functions, information networks that cut through noise, skill sharing that raises the baseline competence of the group, and then to defend those structures from co-optation and exhaustion. We need to learn how to work together better. We need to understand the responsibility that comes with freedom. But freedom without responsibility is just another form of captivity. The captivity of impulse, of short-term relief, of the quiet prison built by one's own repeated small choices. Do not imprison yourself by your own actions. Every time you spend $1 without asking what you are actually voting for, you are casting a ballot for the continuation of the systems that prefer you isolated and consuming. Money talks, and it's the only language power structures understand, respect, and yield to. The elites will do almost anything to preserve a status quo that keeps them high and the general population low. They do not need to hate you. They only need you to keep spending in the patterns that enrich the structure. They study your attention. They model your weaknesses. They offer convenient solutions that deepen dependence. The language is finance. The currency is your continued participation. Reject consumer culture not as an aesthetic pose but as a strategic withdrawal of consent. Every dollar is a vote. Reflect on what you are supporting. Not once, not as a dramatic gesture, but as a continuous practice of attention. The same attention that can imagine a better individual life can also imagine a collective arrangement in which that better life is less fragile. Ask what each purchase strengthens. Ask what each hour of passive consumption weakens. The answers will not always be comfortable. Comfort is one of the tactics. Discomfort, properly directed, is information. Change is inevitable. That is not consolation. That is physics and history. Empires rise and fall. Technologies rearrange the possible. Climates shift. Demographics move. The only open question is how your particular reality will change. Will it change because you directed it, or because the default settings of the larger system directed it for you? The answer is not written in the stars. It is written in the sequence of choices you make when no one is watching. Every unexamined habit is a vote for the continuation of the present trajectory. Every deliberate interruption of that habit is a small act of authorship. Human beings are profoundly social animals whose nervous systems regulate best in the presence of others we trust. Co-regulation is not a soft concept. It is measurable in heart rate variability, cortisol levels, and immune function. Philosophy tells us that the self is not a sealed unit but a node in a web of relations. When the web is deliberately frayed by the tactics of division and distraction, the individual node experiences the fraying as personal failure. That is the insidious part. The system does not need to defeat you in open combat. It only needs to convince you that the combat is yours alone. Once that conviction takes hold, the energy that could have gone into collective leverage is spent on private endurance. Private endurance has limits. Collective leverage does not scale the same way. So the fist begins with the recognition that the combat is not yours alone. One finger remains weak no matter how much it strains. 5 fingers, coordinated, change the equation. The coordination does not require perfection. It requires the decision to stop treating the adversity of others as entertainment and start treating them as the reality of the shared struggle. It requires the humility to admit that individual excellence, while necessary, is insufficient against organized attack. And it requires you to think of your time as a valuable resource. Time spent rebuilding local capacity, time spent learning the practical skills of mutual support, time spent refusing the narratives that keep people suspicious of one another. These are investments with compounding returns. Imagine the life you want with enough clarity that the image becomes crystal clear. Now imagine if the majority did this. If enough people decide that the pain of remaining out of place is no longer acceptable and that the only sustainable way out is through collective leverage, it would change all of our lives for the better. You already know what the language of power is. You already know that consumer culture is not serving you. You already know that isolation is profitable for those who sell solutions to the loneliness they help create. The knowledge is not the missing piece. The missing piece is the conversion of knowledge into organized refusal and organized construction. Refusal of the tactics that keep the population down, the endless scroll, the status competition, the manufactured emergencies that keep people reactive instead of strategic. Construction of the habits, the relationships, the small coordinated actions that make individual progress less lonely and more durable. No one is coming to hand you the finished world. The capacity to imagine something better is already yours. The hard work, the vision, and the dedication are the price of creating it. The responsibility that comes with freedom is the price of keeping it. And the recognition that we are in this together is the only realistic strategy against forces that have never treated us as separate in the first place. The forces are patient. They play the long game. Matching that patience with disciplined, coordinated presence is the counter move. One finger is weak. 5 fingers make a fist. The fist is not violence for its own sake. It is the refusal to remain a collection of easily managed parts. It is the decision to treat time as sacred, choice as consequential, and collective capacity as the missing multiplier. It is the understanding that personal transformation and collective leverage are not sequential stages but interlocking practices. You improve your individual situation not in spite of others, but in ways that make the improvement more robust because it is shared. Your circumstances right now are not a verdict. They are a starting coordinate. If you can hold the image of better coordinates long enough, the path begins to appear. If enough people hold their images at the same time and refuse to let the tactics of division pull them back into isolation, the path widens. The widening is not automatic. It is the result of repeated, deliberate acts of connection under conditions designed to prevent connection. That is the work, not the dramatic speech, not the single gesture, the daily conversion of imagination into coordinated action. The daily refusal to spend the irreplaceable hours on what does not matter. The daily recognition that the same system that profits from your separation is vulnerable to your organized presence. Vulnerability is not the same as collapse. It is the point at which pressure applied with precision can alter trajectory. We are in this together whether we act like it or not. The only variable left is whether the togetherness becomes conscious, efficient, and directed, or whether it remains the unconscious togetherness of a managed mass. The managed mass is predictable. The conscious fist is not. Unpredictability is power when the other side has optimized for compliance. Choose the fist, while the people who could become the other fingers are still reachable. The elites speak money. Speak back by withdrawing the vote of every unexamined dollar. Speak back by treating your time as non-negotiable. Speak back by finding the other fingers and closing the hand. Speak back by building the small, resilient structures that make extraction less profitable and mutual support more practical. Change will come. Make sure it is the change you directed. Make sure the reality that emerges is one in which the general population is no longer the managed mass but the coordinated force. 1 finger is weak. 5 fingers is strong. We are in this together. And the work begins the moment you stop waiting for permission to act as if that were true.